Hey everybody, it's Natalie. Do you want to learn tarot with me? Let's go ahead and get started. Today we are going to talk about the Seven of Swords, and let us begin. And the Seven of Swords in the tarot is called the Lord of Unstable Effort, and that was the name given by the Golden Dawn. Aleister Crowley also called the card the Lord of Futility. And when we look at the figure on the Seven of Swords, which you can also take a look at on my screen right here, we can see that indeed this character is engaged in an act of some type of effort, but it certainly doesn't look stable. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Seven of Swords in the tarot represents the moon in Aquarius, or it represents the moon through the third decan of Aquarius. So the moon ruling over the third decan. And when we think about the moon ruling through the third decan of Aquarius, the moon is a very changeable planet, and it changes signs very quickly. And so when we're thinking about the moon in Aquarius representing the Seven of Swords, we have to think about the moon's influence over the mind and the fact that the ideas and the mind are becoming very changeable and are flip-flopping back and forth moment to moment to moment. Okay. And I think before we start talking, we need to just quick take a look at all the different swords that represent the minor arcana. We have the Ace of Swords, the 2, the 3, the 4, and there's the 5 of Swords right there, the 6 of Swords, and the 7 of Swords. Now, we're talking about the 7 of Swords today, and you kind of need to keep in mind where we're coming from. So we're coming from the 6 of Swords, which is a place of balance, of mental agility, being able to move on, being able to move forward. Okay, moving forward without something we left behind in the 5 of Swords. Okay, and the 7 of Swords is really representing where our actions are starting to become more unbalanced. The balance that we found in the prior 6 is no longer evident in the 7 of Swords. And you can see here that the figure in the 7 of Swords is taking very wide steps and looks like the figure is really hurrying along. Also, you'll notice that it seems like the figure is even moving quicker, like those toes are barely touching the ground. And they are wearing, the figure in the 7 of Swords is wearing those red boots, which just draws attention to the fact that someone is really on the move or is quickly trying to do something, but hasn't aligned their intentions yet. And because of the moon's rulership over the third decan of Aquarius, there is, there's a changeable mind due to the feelings and the emotions where a person's trying to move forward, but they're also looking back. And if we take a closer look at the 7 of Swords, we can see that this figure's feet are moving in one direction, but the head is turned in another direction. And the figure in the 7 of Swords looks as if it is listening to, perhaps trying to listen to advice, take advice into account. And when we get into the realm of the 7 of Swords, we can think about are we receiving bad advice, or are we receiving good advice that we should be listening to, but we're not listening to because we really want to do something else. And so we get into this place with the 7 of Swords where we start to feel rather divided because our feet are moving in one direction, but our head is facing in the other direction, which of course can result in a lot of, maybe perhaps intentions that are not lining up, double speak, misspeaking, clumsiness, etc., because we're not really thinking. We're trying to decide, but we're not really thinking things through. And because of our emotions, things are getting a little bit messed up. And so I just want to talk a little bit about as well, when we look at the Seven of Swords, you'll notice that the rest of the cards here, they're all, gray or dark or blue colors or black, like the Ten of Swords or the Nine of Swords. And the Seven of Swords is really like the one kind of like yellow background card out of all the swords, which is really like a, kind of and whenever I see the Seven of Swords, I always think there's a bit of the magician in the Seven of Swords. For those of you that are familiar with the magician in the tarot, there's a yellow background in the back of the magician, and that yellow background definitely reminds me of that magician energy. Now, of course, the magician in the tarot is ruled by Mercury or is associated with Mercury, and Mercury is the trickster planet. So we have this kind of trickster energy that comes out of the Seven of Swords, which, isn't always a bad thing. Like sometimes in life, we do need to play it very tricky. And we do need to, it's like take for instance, if you were trying to leave your current job and you were going on a job interview at 4 p.m., but it's not like you're going to tell your current job, hey, I'm leaving to go to a job interview. You're probably going to take time off and tell them, oh, I have a dentist appointment or something like that, or sneak out early for the day, or come in early and finish early so that you can sneak out, before the day's over and go to your other job interview. And so there's constantly situations in life where I also think, with the moon in Aquarius, it does talk about original ideas or innovative solutions and innovative thinking. And so, if you're currently working at a job, but you're trying to have a job interview with another company and you don't know if you've got the other job yet, but you have to act like you're not really leaving to your current company, because what if you don't get the job? That is a very, Seven of Swords type of thing. And what's really interesting, like whenever we are working, sorry, I just need to be able to get back to, let me pull this bar is kind of in the way here. And let's go ahead and move back here. Okay, so what's interesting is we have this bright yellow background that we don't see in the other swords cards, which the bright yellow background to me is also like innovative thinking and, fresh ideas and fresh thoughts that come quickly and easily. And, like I mentioned with the job, with the whole thing with the job, he's carrying the 5 swords, right? So let's keep in mind there's 7 swords here. There's 2 in the background, and then he's carrying 5 of the swords, right? So when we think of 5 swords, we think of the 5 of Swords, which of course is this character right here, who is up to no good, right? So there's that 5 of Swords energy in the 7 of Swords, where it's like, okay, somebody's up to no good, or there's something going on. And then we left the 2 of Swords behind. Now, the 2 of Swords in the tarot, we can see the 2 of Swords right here as my cursor is moving around the 2 of Swords, which indicates some type of indecision or stagnant mental energy. Could be one definition for the 2 of Swords. And so we see that indecision kind of being left behind, or I'll face the decision a later day. But right now I got to sneak out of this door and go to this job interview because I really want it. Now, when we think of the sevens in general in the tarot, and we think of the idea of, really wanting something, we need to take a look at, let's take a look at the Tree of Life. And for those of you that haven't studied the Tree of Life when it comes to the tarot, it's very, it's all interconnected. It's all interwoven in this amazing system of attributions and correspondences. And if you're wanting more, references for where to find this material, you can definitely email me. But keep in mind that when we're speaking about the Kabbalistic tarot and the associations that were given by the Golden Dawn, by the famous occult group, the Golden Dawn, group of magicians. Basically, we want to keep in mind when we're talking about the Hermetic Kabbalah that all the sevens in the tarot are associated with Netzach. And Netzach is right here. You can see where the arrow is pointing at it. It's associated with the color green, the emerald colored green. and it is associated with the planet Venus. And Netzach is also associated with victory, and it's associated with our desires. And it doesn't have to do, like, for instance, with our intellect. The opposite Sephira would have to do with our intellect, which is Hod, but the Netzach as a Sephirat associated with Venus means that it has to do with our desires, the group mind, our instincts, our basic instincts, and what we want. It's like me wanty this piece of cake, me wanty this, me wanty that. And so when we look at all the sevens essentially in the tarot are associated with that Sephirah on the tree of life. And so when we go back and we look at the Seven of Swords, we have to think that, because the sevens are associated with victory or the wanting of victory or the desiring of victory, we can see that we have a person here who's like, I'll do whatever I can to go ahead and get what I want and get what I need because I'm desiring this and I want to get out of here. And you can see that the figure on the Seven of Swords is wearing this green tunic, which is representative of the Sephirah Netzach, which is also the color green. And like I mentioned, has to do with desires and, being able to make up one's mind about what one wants. And it's almost like I'll deal with the decision now, but I have to go do something about something else now. And so you've got that energy going on with the Seven of Swords. And a lot of people speak to the Seven of Swords of, being like a thief or that type of energy, which, okay, I could see that about the Seven of Swords, but I also think, sometimes in life, we do need to be a bit selfish about what we want. And we do need to, we can't always go and tell our current employer, right, that we're planning to leave if we don't have the other job lined up. We have to do some behind the scenes type of things. The Seven of Swords oftentimes gets associated with the animal, the fox, because we have to, sometimes in life, we have to be clever. We have to do some behind the scene things. We can't always, be 100%. I know the goal in life is always to, be 100% honest and moral and ethical and all of that. But there are certain times that, those types of decisions may be questionable because of the effect that it would have. Now, of course, your current job has no idea you're off interviewing with another company, but at some point you want to better yourself and move to a different company, right? So you're taking more of a selfish action that's for yourself. So you're the figure in the Five of Swords, that's making everyone else dejected. But at the same time, if you don't ever take an action that's for you and move in a direction, a little bit, sometimes you have to do things a little bit under the radar, then you'll never be able to get ahead. And what if you tell your company, yeah, I'm going to interview with another job or whatever, and then they fire you on the spot, right? So sometimes in life we have to be a little bit clever. And I think, I've made that point a few times now, but anyway, so it's not all bad, but it could also show where somebody hasn't made up their mind yet, and they're just kind of taking the easy way out because they don't really want to, face a more honest type of a conversation. So it's like, I'll just take the easy way out of things. And what's interesting with the Lord of Unstable Effort is that, other people may perceive the Seven of Swords as not having the greatest commitment to something, but nobody knows what's going on in the Seven of Swords head except for the person carrying those five swords. Like, why are they doing that? And what's going through their mind in that moment? And some of my favorite authors, I'm just going to read you some of the associations by some of my favorite authors kind of with the Seven of Swords that I think are interesting. Seven of Swords could be associated with funny business, a warped sense of humor, being dissuaded by your own mind, and not trying hard enough. Okay. Being a double agent, a diplomat, or a spy, crazy thinking, double speak, saying one thing and doing the other, creative solutions to problems, mind games. Okay. And doing things in broad daylight that are very bold and brazen. It could be associated with thinking outside of the box, or always thinking that the grass is greener. So there's always something better, even though you're in a perfectly fine situation, there's always something better. And you're always like conniving and scheming for something better. Okay. It can have to do with someone who's incapable of sustained labor. I remember, when I worked in corporate America for many years, like we would work late some nights, be there till 9, 10 o'clock at night. And my office was near the back. And sometimes as it got to be 9, 10 o'clock at night, I'm like, nobody was leaving, right? Nobody wanted to leave. No one wanted to be the first person to leave, because it was like, oh, you're bad if you're the first person to leave. Like, everyone should want to stay and work until midnight. So it got to be 9, 10 o'clock at night. And my office was near the back where this back doorway was. And I would sometimes sneak out that door because no one would see me go out of it. And I would like run to my car and I would just leave. And to me, that's very Seven of Swords, but it's like, yeah, I've got to get home. I'm not going to work until midnight. And I remember doing that a lot, like in my early 30s. So that's kind of funny because I would kind of just dip out in, broad daylight out the back door. And it wasn't daylight. It would usually be at night, but I would do that. And also the seven of Swords has to do with vacillation, like going back and forth on something. As we mentioned, the feet going in one direction and the head going in the other direction. The Seven of Swords also has to do with compromising one's position. So you're saying, yeah, I'll do this, but I'm actually doing this. Striving in vain, tests of the mind, meeting challenges with strategic skill. So it's like, okay, I have to get XYZ 1, 2, 3 done. Like, did you guys ever see those rom-com movies where like I'm thinking of that movie, She's the Man with Amanda Bynes, where she dresses up like her brother in order to be able to play soccer, but then her mom is forcing her to be like a debutante, and she's at a carnival and she's like changing her outfit multiple times, and then she looks like a guy and then she looks like a girl, and she's running around doing all this kind of stuff in order to appease her mother, who wants her to be a debutante, but she also wants to play soccer. So she's kind of doing this double thing. And I think that is a very Seven of Swords, kind of like zany, goofy, running around, changing, now I'm, playing soccer and I'm dressed as my brother. Now I'm a debutante to please my mother. Like this running back and forth is very much Seven of Swords. Also, the Seven of Swords could represent wise advice not taken. So it's like, I told you not to go running across the street without looking both ways, but you did anyway. The Seven of Swords could also talk about our desires versus our vulnerability, especially because I mentioned Netzach is associated with Venus and all the sevens are associated with that in the tarot. Our desires and what we want versus our vulnerability and our ability to be able to answer to that. It could also represent returning to a previous line of thinking you once already discarded and kind of going back to that thinking. The moon in the third decan of Aquarius, when it comes to the Seven of Swords, clouds the intellect. And there's a struggle to know if something is right or not. Okay. Advice that we're getting may be becoming very unreliable at this point. Okay. There's a big reason why, the Seven of Swords is associated with the thief. It's more like the Seven of Swords could probably be like an untrustworthy character, as I mentioned. But why are they doing that is the big question. Like, why are they doing that? The moon in Aquarius is, Aquarius is an air sign and it's not always a very social sign. But moon in Aquarius could be talking to a lot of different people, but not committing to one thing. And so we've got that thing going on with the Seven of Swords. And so we've got the payoff between risk and reward versus choices and decision. Seven of Swords can indicate misdirection. And the Seven of Swords may also be inclined to betray somebody's confidence and gossip and do things like that behind someone's back as well in order to meet their selfish needs or to achieve their selfish goals. And when we see the Five of Swords in the hands of the Seven of Swords, we can think about what's the selfish goal that they're trying to achieve, or why is there a need to be strategic in this situation? Maybe there's a perfectly good reason for it, but maybe not. Okay. And the Seven of Swords can represent moral ambiguity and the accomplishing of someone's will, but giving offense during the process. Okay. The Seven of Swords can represent shrewd maneuvering towards victory. And as I mentioned, all the sevens are associated with Netzach, which Netzach is associated with the word victory on the tree of life. And so shrewd maneuvering towards victory could definitely be a thing here. Let's see. There's an element sometimes, I think, in the Seven of Swords of not really paying attention or being a bit clumsy, giving up even if victory is in sight. And another thing to point out is when we're living in a society and everyone's the same and everyone's thinking the same and doing the same thing, we really do need, in order for a society to stay dynamic, we need the energy of the trickster. And that's where the Seven of Swords comes into play. We need clever strategies that can keep them guessing. We need all those clever strategies. Yeah, so the Seven of Swords, we can also maybe at sometimes, for those of us who aren't as aligned with that trickster energy, we can sometimes feeling a bit self-conscious or like we're doing something wrong when it's actually like a quote unquote selfish action that we need to actually do. So that is interesting. And as I mentioned earlier, the Seven of Swords taking those big wide steps there and trying to, which kind of makes you think, well, this person is trying to get away in a hurry. And so I think that is, one thing I didn't mention is intellect engaged in great activity. Like the moon is very changeable and a lot of activity with the moon, engaging in morally corrupt behavior, engaging in toxic theories or toxic gossip could be another thing here. And so that's where the Seven of Swords is a little tricky. And if it comes up in a reading, you could almost kind of guarantee that there is something tricky about the situation and it's not a straightforward situation. And there could be things that are happening under the surface or reasons for that. And discovering those reasons is what is really important. And I feel like is the goal of the Seven of Swords. So that is what I have to share for you all. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you like this informative tarot teaching, format, give me a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. I plan to do more videos on the tarot and the different major and minor arcana as we go throughout the year. I wish you all a very wonderful day and take care. Bye-bye now.